This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
It's the After Party live on a Friday at the movies with Tim Sika coming right up. Thank you for being here, and it's a great way to kind of ease your way into what's going to be a really nice weekend. Despite everything going on in the world, we're going to talk movies today, and we've got some stories coming up. One of them I find fascinating about this new type of, it's not a blue jay, it's not a green jay, but it's a mix between the two. They call it a grue jay, and the picture is really cool. But before we get to any of that, there's been a lot of things going on in Hollywood this week. We are at the movies with Tim Sika. Hi, Tim Sika.
Hello, Kim McAllister.
Hello to you. I got a message, and I don't have it in front of me, but the listener asked about the passing of Robert Redford this week. Here it is. This is a movie. This is a message that came in asking for Tim Sika's favorite Robert Redford movies, which I thought was a great thing. It was a good way to remember him.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, as far as his directing goes, it has to be Ordinary People, which was one of our classic movie recommendations. And I think his acting, the first movie that comes to mind without thinking about it is All the President's Men, where he played Bob Woodward of the Washington Post, and he, along with Dustin Hoffman, who played Carl Bernstein, you know, they scooped the Watergate scandal, and yeah, that's a great movie, and it's a great performance. There's so many good ones. You know,
do you think he was a better actor or a better director, or what do you think?
Yeah, well, yeah. You know, I think he was an interesting actor. I think he was a very private actor, if that makes any sense. I mean, there's always something about Robert Redford to me, except for maybe his early films like Barefoot in the Park or This Property is Condemned, where he kind of seems emotionally kind of withholding. I mean, does that make any sense?
Yeah.
He always, I mean, he's always great. I mean, he's always good. Paul Newman is like that too. Although Paul Newman, you know, as he evolved as an actor, he became a little more open, a little more vulnerable, but and they were great buddies. But yeah, no, and that's not a criticism of Redford. You asked me if he was better as an actor or director. That's a hard question to answer. Some people would say his movies as a director were spotty. I like pretty much everything he ever did as a director. And maybe because he acted in more movies, maybe you can make a case that you know there's what's that film, Out of Africa? Have you seen Out of Africa?
Oh God, I loved that movie. Yeah,
I did too. But I didn't think he was particularly good in it. I thought he kind of just showed up, and I don't know. I remember him being very bland in that movie. Anyway, I don't want to criticize Robert Redford because I mean he was a great star and an amazing actor and an astonishing director when he found material that he particularly connected with.
Did he direct A River Runs Through It?
Yes, he did. You know, and I forgot about that movie. Yeah, that's up there too. Yeah, it was an early Brad Pitt performance too. Yeah, that was a beautiful film. A lot of people thought it was boring. I thought it was gorgeous. Oh yeah, River Runs Through It. He did Quiz Show, which was excellent as a director, and of course, Ordinary People. The Legend of Bagger Vance, which most of my colleagues didn't like, but I thought it was really good. Yeah, River Runs Through It. I forgot about that movie. Yeah, that's a lovely movie.
I really like that movie. And it's funny because I always think of Robert Redford and Brad Pitt. They just kind of have that same thing going on.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's the thing. You know, I was saying that Redford seemed like a reserved actor. You know, maybe that was a choice he made because all he had to do was like show up on screen. And there seemed to be a lot going on beyond that, you know, beautiful face of his. He didn't always have to say a lot to convey a whole lot. And yeah, he has that similar megawatt star
Mhm.
quality. Is
Like
yeah,
a
I totally agree with you.
sandy-haired,
Yeah,
blonde
yeah,
Hollywood hunk.
yeah.
He's just so good looking. Like,
Very, very good looking. Also, an intellectual of
yeah,
considerable
smart,
repute. So you usually don't.
empathetic,
Yeah, yeah,
kind, good
right.
for the
Yes,
environment, like, he's
yeah,
good
yeah,
all around, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
It's
all right, I guess enough about him, but, he did pass away this week, 89 years old, I think,
yeah,
he
yeah.
lived to. Yeah.
I didn't know that he was particularly ill or anything. I was kind of shocked when I found out that he passed. Yeah.
Yeah. The first movie of the week is Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey.
Yes, A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. The first of two romantic comedies we're going to talk about this week.
Woohoo!
Okay, and A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. It's such a pretty grandiose title, right?
Yeah.
I wish the film itself lived up to.
Oh,
I hate to give away
no.
my hand right at the outset, but
Come
okay, well,
on.
yeah. Well, what this is a fantasy romance, and it's about a man played by Colin Farrell, who's on the left there in the picture, and a woman played by Margot Robbie, who meet at a wedding, and who together, I'm going to skip all this plot exposition. They together literally step through a series of doors to relive their respective pasts. And it's the GPS of their rental car. I mean, this is just so
Oh,
ridiculous, that takes them on this big, bold, beautiful journey. The two best things about this movie are, one, it's pretty to look at, and two, the cast.
yeah.
There are moments, in fact, albeit fleeting ones, where Colin Farrell and especially Margot Robbie, who I love Margot Robbie, and she's just radiant in this movie, actually make you believe or think that there might just be some sort of decent movie buried underneath all of this magical realism nonsense that's being thrown at you. The real culprit at the bottom of this annoying mess, I just found it annoying, is the script. It's
Mm.
janky, it's confused, its characters seem to learn nothing about their lives by walking through these literal doors that appear in the middle of nowhere off of some unknown highway. And the biggest problem with the script for me is that it asks an awful lot of its audience. I mean, at every turn, suggesting that they fully engage in a full throttled and willing suspension of disbelief. And that's okay to a point. I mean, you have to do that with all movies, but when the deliverables of a movie are as manifestly lame as they are in this one, you just want to throw up your hands and say, why was I even put through this in the first place? Take away the megawatt stars, and I think all you have left with is a tiresome and frustrating journey that is, I don't know, far from being big or bold or beautiful. I think even romantic dramedy fans are going to find this movie very hard to get around. So
Oh, that's a bummer.
I say skip it. Unless you're big fans of these stars, then you'll want to see it. But it just is ridiculous. And it asks you to accept all this stuff, and you're going, what? And then on top of it, I don't think they learn anything about going back into their pasts.
It's
And
not a
the,
big journey of self-discovery, it's a
yeah, it's
yeah.
just a kind of like, whatever.
It's
I
sweet
don't know.
memories, Tim, sweet memories.
I guess, but not
Mhm.
not all of them are sweet, because they, the woman at one point goes back to her mother dying in the hospital. So it's
Oh.
intense. There are some good ideas, but it's just ridiculous. It's
Mm.
like, well, what we're just supposed to accept that, like, okay, that these doors are popping up everywhere and that they know to walk through them and they just met. I mean, what is this? Oh, anyway, I that's enough about
What I
a bit.
wonder about movies like this, you have 2 amazing actors, and you
Yeah,
you start off by saying, what, it's Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie,
yeah.
and you wonder, did they read the script before they signed on? And what would make actors of this caliber go, "Yeah,
I
that
don't.
sounds good.
Well,
Let's do that."
to be fair, actors get most of the scripts that I think actors get are not very good, and I could see where maybe this one stood out as something that could work, depending on the, how it was directed. And I could see them going, well, this is kind of different, but the
Mhm,
way the movie plays is
mhm.
maddening. It's sort of like, well, what happened between script and filming and editing and release? Uh, no, this movie just did not work. And there's a couple of those that we're going to talk about this week, of movies that had a lot of good ideas but just didn't work. That for me, they didn't work at all, and this was one of them.
Well, the next movie is called Baltimoreans.
Yeah, the Baltimoreans, which is a
I
great
like the
title.
name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is good. Yeah, and this is
Get
a
it.
film co-written and directed by J. Duplass in the indiest of the indie film tradition and indie rom-coms. And the setting is Christmas. The place is Baltimore, Maryland. And in sharp contrast to A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey, we have a wonderful script here. This is a
Hmm.
mostly two-character romantic comedy. Actor Michael Strassner, who's in the poster there, he's really, really great here. He plays this alcoholic wannabe stand-up comic, but when the movie begins, he's sober for 6 months. When the film starts, he's trying. Oh God, okay, this is not funny. He's trying to commit suicide by hanging
Oh.
himself in his attic, but he's ultimately saved by this faulty belt that snaps, and he falls and whatever. Anyway, while accidentally walking into this, how can I describe this door jam of his fiancee mother's home on Christmas Eve. He's looking at his cell phone, not paying attention. So he just slams into the door jam of this house. He damages his tooth. And it
Oh.
being Christmas Eve, he has trouble finding a dentist. But he finally does find one, played by this actress named Liz Larson, who's wonderful in this movie. I don't know her work. I think this is the first time I've seen her. She is so great. Anyway, and the long and the short of it is that this very unlikely pair, this dentist and this recovering alcoholic wannabe stand-up comic, very unlikely pair, share this very unlikely and surprising and also surprisingly believable Christmas Eve together, strolling the streets of Baltimore. And I really like this movie. It was sweet and simple and smart and quirky, very romantic comedy-esque in the pure sense of that phrase. There was a lot of truth in the writing and the performances and the handling and playing of these characters, the sense of loneliness and pain, especially around the holidays for some people, and the struggle to reclaim one's life are very credibly rendered here. I think a lot of people will be able to relate to this movie. Yeah, so what am I saying? It's in the details in this picture that are being paid so much attention to in all departments, really, in the acting, the writing, and the direction, that makes this movie, which is very human and very funny, so special and so affecting. It's another great rom-com. This is like now the third, I believe, I've seen this year that are a
Yeah.
definite cut above all the rest, and one that I think will become a perennial Christmas holiday favorite. It's just one.
Oh.
It's
Okay.
wonderful. It's just wonderful.
The
soundtrack,
Baltimoreans.
yeah, the Baltimore,
Yeah.
the soundtrack, the comedy, the it's wonderful. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it.
Okay. Next movie is called London Calling.
Yes, another movie mess.
Uh-oh.
three out of the 5 movies this week are definite messes, and by extension misses too. But this is the second one. The one up next is the third. But I digress. Okay, London Calling is a movie that in some respects I enjoyed, but pretty much hated when it was over. I enjoyed it for a lot of its politically incorrect humor. I mean, there's a lot of politically incorrect humor in this movie, and I hated it just because in the end, it felt like, this was a total waste of my time. It's in the action comedy category, and it's an uncomfortable tonal mix of comedy and violence. It's about killers with hearts, I guess. Anyway, Josh Duhamel plays a nearsighted hitman who accidentally kills the relative of London's biggest crime lord, but who then makes a deal. I got to.
That is kind of funny.
Yeah,
nearsighted hitman. The premise.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of funny, and it's funny that he accidentally kills like a relative of the guy that happens to be the biggest crime lord in London. Anyway, after that, he's got to like extricate himself from this, so he makes a deal with the guy who employed him to kill the right person. Played by this actor named Rick Hoffman, who's very, very funny here. The funniest thing in the movie, actually, that his employer will extricate him from the wrath of this crime lord if he will teach his, I gotta get this right, socially awkward teenage son the tools of the hitman trade. Okay, and yeah, this is supposed to be an action comedy, and to that end, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of lots of killing, lots of comedy, all interwoven into what is, I think, essentially this immoral, well, if not immoral, amoral twisted father-son saga about what it really means to be a father and what it really means to be a man, I guess. That was my takeaway. The comic, violent tone is uncomfortable. It's kind of awkward. The audience is being asked to sympathize with a hired assassin, who, after all, we're told is just a family man at the end of the day who only wants to retire and go back to his young son. Okay, it's more contrived than it needs to be. It's criminals betraying other criminals, violent shoot 'em ups. At times funny, but really, at the end of the day, it's unbelievable. It's excessive, and because of that excess, it winds up shooting itself in its own foot. I'm a bit embarrassed to admit that I found some of the humor hilarious because it's very un-PC stuff, but even that was secondary and ultimately more in service of the violence in the picture and in what I found to be a kind of offensive portrait of this hitman who, yes, killed many people, but what? I'm in the end, I'm supposed to feel for him because he loves his 10-year-old son. This is weird. Anyway, which in turn begs the question: who makes movies like this anyway? And what are we supposed to take away from these movies? And why the hell should we spend our time and money on them? So yuck. That's my one-word review of London Calling. Yuck. Just yuck. Don't go.
Yuck.
No.
Yuck. Writing
Yuck.
that down. Yuck.
Okay.
All right. Your next movie is called Him.
Oh man, Him may be the biggest swing and miss of the week. I mean, even a bigger swing and miss than A Big Bold Beautiful Journey. I got to stop ragging on that movie. Okay. This is a psychological sports horror movie. Who, God, I don't know. What's that phrase? This movie epitomizes that Shakespeare phrase, whose endeavors, in my opinion, have ever come too short of its desires, as Shakespeare put it. In other words, the final result of Him falls very short of its ambition, which is mighty indeed, but ambition, however mighty and lofty, does not necessarily a good movie make, or one that you can make any kind of sense out of. So the story is about this young football player played by Tyreek Withers, who's in the poster there. I think he's on, I can't see. Anyway, who everybody says is destined for professional football glory career, right? Until one day when he's attacked by this crazy fan and then he suffers brain trauma. But in spite of all this, there are those who still think he can overcome that trauma and go on to professional glory. One in particular, this legendary quarterback played by Marlon Wayans, who invites this young guy to his private compound for training and mentoring. And then that's when the movie and the story go off the rails. I mean, that's when it becomes a horror movie and horrific. What else can I say? It was co-written and directed by Justin Tipping, who's from Oakland, Bay Area filmmaker. And, I'm really, really trying here when I think about this movie. But I think it's a story about the price one pays for fame and what it takes to be great and the sacrifices you have to make in order to achieve greatness in any given field. I think it's about family. I think it's about fathers and sons. It's an allegory maybe about the rejection of a culture's toxic masculinity projections upon its boys and its men. There's a lot of interesting stuff kicking around in the film, but the movie is so mired in its overt and over-the-top style. It's style on steroids that you just want to throw up your hands and then scream. I mean, it's so heavily symbolic. It's heavy. It's obtuse. It's so obtuse that it seems like its goal is to really never really engage you. It practically defies you to walk out on it. I mean, that's how it played to me. And I nearly did a number of times, but I thought, no, I'm going to stay with this. I'm going to try to glean something out of it. And in the end, I just never did. I just thought, this is just a nutty movie. Okay, so what in substance am I saying here? Okay, despite its attempts, its lofty attempts at whatever it was attempting to do, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work as a sports movie. It doesn't work as a drama, and it doesn't work as horror either. It's kind of revolting. There's an element of revulsion in it because of some of the violence, but I hated this movie, and I could never in good conscience recommend it. But in all fairness, I gotta admire I got to admire the effort because it took some very heavy philosophic, stylistic, and artistic swings. It's just that they were all swings and misses. This really,
Mhm.
honestly, I don't know who I would recommend this movie to. Even if you like arty films, this movie was really pushing that element. It's sort of like, okay, what? All right, now what? And there was even like Christian iconography thrown in there. This is like where they were like imitating the Last Supper. I did not get this movie. I think I know what they were trying to communicate, but it was in your face. It was lots of heavy symbols that really didn't connect in a narrative way. I just another yuck. Another
Another
yuck
yuck.
for
It's a
him. Yeah.
no-go.
Yeah. Sorry, folks.
The last one you have is called The Summer Book.
Yeah, Charlie McDowell, son of actor Malcolm McDowell, directed this movie. It's a poignant and deeply felt and quietly compelling adaptation of this very famous and beloved Finnish novel of the same name, which I had never heard of. But yeah, in Finland, there's this novel called The Summer Book, which is just beloved, and this is an attempt to commit it to film. It's a story that's set on a remote Finnish island, and one that follows a grandmother played by Glenn Close. Yeah, oh, there she is. They really have her made up to look really, really old in this movie, and she's excellent here as always. It's about her, the grandmother, her young granddaughter, and a father as they spend a season together, sort of navigating their grief and memory and the just the simple and quiet beauty of everyday life. So what the Summer Book is fundamentally, well, for one, watching this film was such a God, it was like a welcome relief from all the big screen bombast and fast-paced freneticism of the summer Hollywood tentpole movies, in that it's this pleasantly paced, meditative tale of love and aging and loss and the fragile bond between generations. Because at its heart, the film explores this relationship between this grandmother, played by Glenn Close, her granddaughter, and her son, who is the father to the little girl, following the death of the mother of this family. So I thought it was an exquisite film. Probably my favorite of the week because it deals with things that seem, I don't know, lately to me, and again, this is just a subjective take here. Maybe I'm just, too enmeshed in social media and hanging out with the wrong people. But it dealt with things that are so far out of, or seem so far out of reach us these days because of social media. How often are we thinking about things like grief and aging and childhood wonder at the beauty of nature? I don't know. And the thing I loved most about the film, because the film is full of them, what I loved most about it is how it made these simple everyday moments between these three people on the secluded island so interesting and so compelling. By rights, this movie should have been a bore, but in actual fact, it was riveting and rapturous. It was just beautiful. I'm getting goosebumps just telling you about that. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it's a movie for our time, really, really for this time. Watching it was like, drinking water in the desert, and a movie that I'm sure it wasn't even the intention of the filmmakers, but it was a movie that made me want to take a long hiatus from cell phones and social media and just enjoy and fully take in the richness of nature and the planet. So I loved it. It was the last movie I saw this week, and I was so glad because I needed it. It was like a tonic.
Oh, wow. Makes me want to run out and see it immediately. Okay. Tim's classic movie recommendation of the week is the 1971 movie The Sting.
Now, yes, it was hard to pick a classic movie this week. I wanted to talk about Dial M for Murder, maybe next week, but because of actor Robert Redford's passing, I thought it would be appropriate to recommend this movie. In terms of his acting, one of my all-time favorites I said All the President's Men, but this week's classic movie recommendation just happened to be Redford's favorite film of all the movies he's done, or if not his favorite film, certainly what he regarded as his best performance. And the only one of his screen roles to earn him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. He played a professional grifter, Johnny Hooker, in George Roy Hill's caper classic, The Sting, which won 7 Academy Awards back in 1973, including one for Best Picture. Yeah, it did win for Best Picture, and which
I said
also
71, 73. My apologies.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's okay. Yeah. See you. Yeah. Well, no problem. Anyway, yeah, it also has the distinction of introducing or reintroducing or discovering or rediscovering the catchy piano rags of Scott Joplin. And although I feel the film in a way is a bit overrated, it's still a very enjoyable show with amazing production detail. It takes place in the 30s in America. It's got great production design. It's got great cinematography. There's a comfort about this film too that's not only edifying in this weird way, but which also allows for repeated viewings, even though it's like fairly empty. It's so well done. It's so well acted by a cast that not only includes Redford, but Paul Newman and Robert Shaw, who plays a nasty meanie. And it's so knowingly directed that even though the film's ultimate success as entertainment relies on this very specific plot twist, even when you know the twist, you can still rewatch this movie and enjoy it a hell of a lot and have fun with it. So yeah, The Sting. That's the more lovable con men pulling off the ultimate con, and a really fun movie. And if memory serves me, I think it was the biggest box office hit of 1973 too. It made a literal fortune for its company, Universal Pictures. But it's just a nice movie. If you want to see a nice, entertaining, fun Robert Redford movie to commemorate his passing, yep, check out The Sting. That's this week's classic movie recommendation.
Awesome. Well done. Okay, so here we have the recap. The Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey, or no, just Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. You said great cast, but that script is janky. This is a tiresome, frustrating journey. This movie, you said, is ridiculous. Please skip it.
Well, I need to get a buzzer or something so that we could use it for the really bad movies.
We need that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
this would get a buzzer. Yeah.
The Baltimoreans. You said this is a great script. It's another rom-com, but you really like this movie. You called it sweet, simple, quirky, very human, very funny, and you think The Baltimoreans is going to become a Christmas classic.
Yeah.
London Calling. You said this is a mess. You enjoyed some of the politically incorrect humor, you're embarrassed to say, but overall, you called this one a waste of time. You hated it. You said it's an uncomfortable mix of comedy and violence. It's contrived, though it's funny. Sometimes it's just excessive and unbelievable. Even the funny moments won't save this one. You said yuck. London Calling.
Yes, London Calling, hang up the phone. Anyway.
Don't answer.
Yeah, don't answer.
Him. This, you said, is the biggest swing and miss of the week. It falls very short. Some interesting topics here, you said, but the style of this movie is too heavy, and you called it obtuse. Revolting violence. You almost walked out. You called it a nutty movie that doesn't work, and you said skip him. As for the summer book, you said it's a welcome relief. This one, pleasantly paced, exquisite film, your favorite of the week. It made what should have been boring riveting. You said it's a movie for our time, and it made you want to take a tech break. You love this movie, you needed this movie, and you recommend The Summer Break. And then to your classic movie rec of the week, The Sting from 1973. Where Robert Redford got the Oscar for this movie. You said maybe it's overrated, but it's still enjoyable. Great production design and cinematography. So well done, well acted, well directed. It's entertaining. It's fun. The Sting from 1973 is Tim Sika's classic movie rec of the week. There you have it.
And speaking of well done, that was a very well done summary, I have to
Oh,
admit.
there
Yeah.
you go.
There
Yeah.
you go.
So Zero Sum says, even when I was young, I really liked The Sting because of all the clothing and the old cars in the movie, and
Yeah,
it's set in
yeah.
a really cool time period.
Yeah. That yes. That's part of the production design. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's just exquisite. Yeah.
Yeah. Nola Vidian says, I'm not sure if I've ever even seen The Sting, so I'll have to check it out and see if I can watch that one.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's on Amazon Prime, by the way, so it's
Mhm.
accessible. Yes.
Yeah. Um, Nola Vidian also recommending has a movie rec for us. Last night, he said, I saw a movie called Death to Smoochie.
Oh, that is a crazy film. It's a funny film. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were reading. Yes.
Yeah, no, Robin Williams, Danny
Yeah.
DeVito, Edward Norton, Jon Stewart, among others, and Nola Vidian really enjoyed it. All right.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. It was like a satire on, host I don't want to say Smoochie was like a Pee Wee Herman type, but he was he had this children's show. It's a crazy funny movie, and Robin Williams is great in it. Yeah, yeah, that's yeah. Yeah, I don't know many people that have seen Death to Smoochie. So,
I don't know.
yeah,
I've never even heard of Death to
yeah.
Smoochie, and I thought I'd seen most Robin Williams movies, so I don't know. Yeah. Okay, well, Tim Sika, you're awesome, and I am so grateful to you for coming on the show time after time after time at the movies with Tim Sika. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Kim, and we'll talk to you next week. Have a great weekend.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.
At the movies with Tim Sika, 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. Tim is live on the After Party Live every Friday. So we pull the segment with him as a standalone. So if you're just looking for the movie recommendations, you will be able to find it under videos on the After Party Live. And again, our thanks to Tim Sika for coming on the show. Before we end, I want to make sure I get to this story about these birds. So you got your blue jay in the middle, you got your green jay on the right, and then on the left, you've got their baby. And this is a very cool looking bird. It's called the grue jay. Get it? Blue jay, green jay, grue jay. And the first known wild grue jay hybrid has been spotted in Texas. And it's because the blue jays and the green jays are crossing paths more often because of the climate change and temperatures rising. So apparently they've crossing paths, find each other attractive, and they're breeding. And they make this grue jay baby. And now the bird watchers are flocking to Texas to try to find this bird. It is in South Texas. Biologists at the University of Texas at Austin says they say that this bird looks to be a mix between the green jay and the blue jay. So they're calling it the grue jay. And they think that this bird marks one of the first confirmed examples of a vertebrate animal that hybridized partly due to climate change. So interesting. So the blue jay and the green jay, according to biologists, their little history. 7 million years ago, they split off from their ancestors and went on their own evolutionary journeys. The green jays are tropical birds native to Central America, and the range previously extended about as far as the United States-Mexico border. The blue jays are known to prefer the more temperate environments of the eastern United States, and they usually don't fly further than Houston, Texas. Further west, I should say, than Houston, Texas. So these two species haven't really interacted for millions of years. But because of climate change, their habitats have shifted, and now they have had a bit of a reunion. Environmental scientists documenting green jays migrating further north, blue jays moving west, and now they're commingling around the San Antonio area, and they're having little grue jay babies. So there was an ecologist with the University of Texas at Austin who saw this photo posted online of a grue jay. And I have to say, if you're not looking at the picture, it's really cool looking because it has these kind of blue, beautiful patterns on its tail that the blue jay and the green jay don't really have. These kind of I don't know, we call them spots or diamonds of different blues swirling on the back. The ecologist, uh, they noticed this unfamiliar bird with a white chest and a black mask in this picture that had been uploaded to a Facebook group called Tex Birders for Texas, Tex Birders. And they said, yeah, it looked like a blue jay, but they thought it was something else. And then a few weeks later, the ecologist was in a backyard of a San Antonio home trying to find this bird. The first day they tried to catch it, but it was very uncooperative, as you can imagine. The second day they got lucky and they caught it in a mist net and collected a blood sample and banded its leg for future ID, and then they released it. And from there, they did a genetic analysis to confirm the identity of this bird, and they published their results September 10th in the journal Ecology and Evolution. They confirm it as the first hybrid grue jay ever seen in the wild. The hybridization, they say, is probably way more common in the natural world than researchers know, because there's just so much inability to report these things happening. And the ecologist says it's probably possible in a lot of species that we don't see because they're physically separated from one another, and so they never get the chance to try to hook up and try to mate. The only other documented example of a grue jay happened in the 1960s, but that was done intentionally. Researchers intentionally crossbred a green blue jay or green jay and a blue jay dad. So it was a green jay mom and a blue jay dad. But this one from San Antonio is the first time that this ever happened in the wild, they think, and it's the first instance of a hybrid born from the shifting migrations of both parent species, climate change. So, very interesting. There, by the way, the original specimen that was created, by breeders in a lab is now at the Fort Worth Museum of Science and History, and it looks very similar to the one that was spotted in the San Antonio backyard. Very similar. So there you have it. Is it a new breed of blue jay? I mean, it's going to take more than one. We'll see what happens. Cool looking bird, though, I think. I don't know. I did want to tell you about this DC gator. Since it's Friday and all, we're not going to Florida. We're going to Washington, D.C. This young man who was on a boat in Washington, D.C. at the Wharf Marina saw an alligator in the water at the marina. They don't live in Washington, D.C. That's not supposed to happen. I have video to show you of this too. I just feel like we need to watch the video because what he says at the end is actually pretty funny. All right. Let me take the picture down and I'll get the video up. And here it is.
I saw him right there suntanning, and they tried to get it, and he splashed right back into the water.
Phoenix Norwood says after the dockmaster sent an alert this morning warning residents of the marina at the wharf in Southwest DC that what appeared to be a young alligator had been spotted in the water there, he just knew he had to see it. After more than an hour of looking, he not only found it, but after grabbing a net on a pole from his family's houseboat, he scooped it out of the Washington Channel.
And I took the net, scooped him up, and then I kind of twisted the net and held it down to the ground until the authorities arrived.
A photo taken shortly afterward shows him still in his pajama pants and what DC Animal Control believes is an honest-to-goodness alligator, about 2.5 feet long, Norwood says. He says he had to keep a tight grip on the net while waiting for the Harbor Patrol to arrive.
Get them out here. I can't hold him much longer.
Was he squirming?
He was squirming. He was doing all kinds of stuff.
DC police took a report. The gator was secured and transported by animal control officers. No one knows how the reptile got into the Washington Channel. The working theory is that it was a discarded pet. It's illegal to possess an alligator in DC, Maryland, or Virginia. Phoenix Norwood says he's seen a lot of animals while living on the water, but DC gator tops them all. And he wrangled all roughly 30 inches of the little guy or gal in true Florida style.
So catching an alligator, like that's a rite of passage in Florida, but in the district, not so much. You got your lawyers, your politicians, but alligator wranglers, not exactly.
In Southwest Washington,
Yeah.
Jackie Benson, News.
So there we go. Another discarded pet is what they say. And I just wonder why people think that's okay. This is a creature that is not native to Washington, D.C. It would seem odd to think it could survive in cooler waters or cooler temperature. I mean, it's I know they have this, they kind of have this hibernation thing they do in freezing water, but it seems so cruel. And if you cared about this pet or somehow mm, loved it enough or were interested enough in the species to care for it and want it in your home, then why wouldn't you, if when you realized you couldn't actually handle an animal like this and maybe it was a bad idea, why wouldn't you take it to a sanctuary, travel to Florida or some other state where there's sanctuaries or where they can handle this kind of creature and turn it in the right way, even if you have to pay the sanctuary to take it? Why wouldn't you do the responsible thing? Why do you just dump it in a waterway in Washington, D.C.? Sorry for going on a crazy rant, but it just doesn't make sense. People do that all the time with their animals. Just even here in where I live, there's we have kind of a lot of farms in an agricultural area, and my daughter was when she was riding horses, the woman who owned the horse barn said all the time out there they get people dumping their dogs, dumping their cats, just out there, just dump their animals. Why would you dump an animal somewhere? Why don't you just take it to the pound? What's wrong with people? This is what I ask. What is wrong with people? Why do you have a giant peach? That's right. Maybe it makes more sense. This is a record-setting big old peach. It is breaking a record. It comes out of an orchard in Virginia. They have now the Guinness World Record for the heaviest peach by growing a fruit that weighed in at 1.83 pounds. That's a big old juicy peach. It happened at the Childs Peach Orchard in Crozet, Virginia. They harvested this massive peach earlier in September, and they thought, I think this can beat the world record, which was at 1.8 pounds. Theirs is 1.83, so it was close, but they pulled it off. They said we weren't intentionally trying to grow the biggest peach out there. Just so happened the weather we had this year turned out really good, got growing a ginormous peach. That's what Henry Childs says. This peach is variety PF27A. They submitted it to the Guinness World Records, folks, and they have now confirmed it is the world's heaviest peach at 1.83 pounds. They say it is now official. We hold the record for growing the world's heaviest peach. They say thanks to the Guinness World Records for their verification, and they're celebrating this peach. They have it sitting here next to a pumpkin, in between a pumpkin and an apple, and then a regular sized peach. So I guess they're comparing regular sized peaches to being apple sized, and this 1.83 pounder to being the size of a smaller pumpkin. It's big. I'll give it that. You wonder, though, those things that grow to be larger, do they still have the same taste? You bite into a smaller, I don't know, like maybe it's more watery, it's less dense. I don't know. Maybe it's not the same. We'll never know. We'll never know. Here's the inside of a mouth. I picked this picture because it was a lot more palatable than the other one. The story is about microbes in our mouth. And scientists have linked these microbes to pancreatic cancer. It's interesting because we've seen other stories recently about microbes in the mouth linked to possibly Alzheimer's or gum disease linked to Alzheimer's. So our mouth, I think, holds a lot more secrets than we had realized in the past. Here's what a new study says that was just published today in the journal JAMA Oncology, that people have a more than tripled risk of pancreatic cancer if their mouths contain 27 types of bacteria and fungi, including linked to gum disease. The researchers at NYU Grossman School of Medicine said it's clearer than ever that brushing and flossing your teeth may not only help prevent periodontal disease, but also protect against certain types of cancer. Pancreatic cancer is often called the silent killer because there are not very many effective screening methods to catch it early. So by the time they diagnose that, it's often pretty progressed. The previous studies have shown that bacteria can travel through swallowed saliva into the pancreas and increase cancer risk for people with poor oral health. Now, they say it's not clear which of the microbes they found specifically would contribute to pancreatic cancer. But they did look at, and this is a massive sample size, they looked at saliva samples from more than 122,000 Americans that participated in 2 large-scale studies of cancer screening and prevention. And they identified 445 patients that had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and they compared their saliva samples to those taken from a random 445 people who were cancer-free. And the researchers said they identified 20 different types of bacteria and 4 different types of fungi that affect pancreatic cancer risk. They also linked pancreatic cancer to 3 bacteria already known to contribute to gum disease. It's Porphyromonas gingivalis, Eubacterium notatum, and Parvomonas micra. Those were the 3 bacteria that were already known. They say altogether, this entire group of microbes they found increased pancreatic cancer risk by nearly 3.5 times. So their thinking is that if they profile bacterial and fungal populations in our mouths, they may be able to flag people most in need of pancreatic cancer screening and get ahead of it. So they say this study is observational, so they can't draw a direct cause and effect between oral health and pancreatic cancer yet. Now they're planning to explore whether oral viruses could contribute to cancer and see how the mouth's microbiome could affect patients' chances of survival. So they're going to do more studies. There you go. How about the lotto of the day? That's a happier story. The lotto of the day. It's another birthday surprise. This man from North Carolina won a $130,000 lottery prize right in time for his 40th birthday. He did it from a Cash 5 lottery. He's from Clinton, North Carolina. His name is Corey. And he said he stopped at the Handy Hugo's on Southeast Boulevard and he bought a quick pick ticket for the Tuesday night drawing. Checked the drawing results in the early morning hours. He said, I woke up at 3:30 a.m. and I was like, wait a second, that can't be right. And he found out he scored a $130,000 jackpot. He says, I don't even know how to describe this feeling. I just always felt that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. He said it all kind of lined up because I turned 40 just a couple days later. Happy birthday to you, Corey, and your $130,000. Look at you go. This story breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. I hate when people destroy art for also stupid reasons that make no sense. People. Thieves stole and destroyed this solid silver statue of Abraham Lincoln. It was created by the sculptor of Mount Rushmore. His name is Gutzon Borglum. The good news is police have arrested 3 suspects and charged them in connection with this incident. It took place at the Humus House Estate and Gardens in Louisiana. The theft and destruction of this statue is really horrible. The Humus House is a historic plantation. It's in the city of town of really Darrow, which is this really small little town between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And it's right along this curve of the Mississippi River. which is where they say historians say that European settlers were first attracted to this spot in the 1700s. This 38-acre plantation is now a site where tourists visit. They have tours, there's a restaurant, they have little cottages where you can book a room and stay overnight. It's also been used for TV shows and movies where they were filming. The owner noticed the antique solid silver statue of Abraham Lincoln was missing on September 7th. According to the Times-Picayune, someone smashed a window in the middle of the night to grab this statue. It looks bigger in the picture than it is. It's about a foot tall, but it's solid silver. With Abraham Lincoln sitting on this bench, got a stovepipe hat and a stretched out hand. It was 64 pounds, and it was worth an estimated $166,000 as an historic work of art. Its value in silver alone was about $46,000. So $46,000 worth of silver, but if left intact as the piece of art that it is, 166 grand. So the owner contacts the police. They alert other nearby departments to be on the lookout for the stolen statue. And then, not long after, pieces of the statue started turning up at pawn shops and precious metal exchanges all over New Orleans area. One chunk ended up at Southern Coins and Precious Metal. That's where staffers paid about $3,300 for it before they contacted the police. And they said, we want to see stolen items returned to their owners. That's not the game we want to play. So the investigators with the sheriff's office arrested 3 suspects. One of them 28 years old, one 20, and one 49. They have been charged with simple burglary and felony theft over $25,000. The police went around, they tried to recover as many pieces of the statue as they could. They found 8 pieces, 8 chunks of it in total, but the artwork is beyond repair. They can't ever fix it again. So the picture we're seeing now is all we're going to get. You can never see this piece of art. It's horrible. I think that's horrible. The owner says this is a major blow. It's one of the most cherished pieces of our collection. More guests seem to think it was their favorite item on the tour. What's interesting is he found the statue at a garage sale in New Orleans and paid $1,200 for it. He said it was a great deal. He suspects Lincoln might have passed through this plantation while traveling south on the Mississippi River on a flatboat in around 1830. The sculpture was cast from Borglum's original plaster by the Maiden Foundry in 1990 for the Borglum Historical Foundation. There was a silver cast from the same series sold at heritage auctions for $23,000 in 2016. And then Borglum created a life-size version of the statue in 1911, cast it in bronze, and right now it stands outside of the Essex County Courthouse in Newark, New Jersey. So the owner now plans to display the 8 pieces of his now destroyed statue in some way. He's trying to talk to an artist that creates a metal framework where the pieces can be placed, maybe like an abstract piece of art, showing what it was and what it is now. And now they're increasing security out at that plantation. So there you go. People dumping alligators and cutting up historic statues. This is supposed to be a happy show. What happened? I don't know what happened. We devolved. Waterfalls. Think good thoughts. Come on now. Oh, what a bummer. Think the beauty of Robert Redford, right? That's where we're going today. Thank you so much to everyone who supports the After Party Live. Please click the like button. Click on that. If you haven't subscribed to the After Party Live, please click subscribe as well. If you've already subscribed, you'll click it and it'll be muted again. If it's not bold, you want it bold, right? You don't want it to be muted. So make sure you're subscribed. Don't unsubscribe. Please subscribe. And thank you so much for all the messages, words of support, the ideas that you guys have for the show. I got some great waterfall suggestions that I can't wait to share with you for next week. Folks that have contributed to the show's PayPal include Meredith D, Wes, Jane O, James S, Wes earlier in the week. Huge thank you, everybody, for all of the support. I hope you have the very best weekend. Make it the best one you can. And I will see you on Monday on the Mark Thompson Show at 11 a.m. Until then, keep speaking freely and exercising your rights. All right. Have a good weekend, you guys. For now, bye-bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Go Blue! Oh, we're not imaginary, Mom.